Hey everybody, I'm Ronald Long, and in today's video we're going to talk about the fact that nobody gets tabled on round one. Actually, the reality is some people do get tabled on round one, or maybe not tabled, but like they know the game is over. The other day I was walking into my local friendly gaming store and I happened to see two people who were playing Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and they were right at the beginning of their game. Now, like most of the time when I walk into a game store, I'm just kind of wandering around and looking at the stuff that they have and trying to decide if I'm gonna buy anything today or save money or things like that. And as I'm walking around, in the time that I am here, I'm watching this game play out between these two people, and I'm noticing one person is not having a good time. Oh, even what I mean by that is like they're losing real bad. And I found out it wasn't the fact that they were losing real bad, it was the first turn. From understanding and talking to the people later on, what had happened was they had their big bad general guy not hidden and out of the way and protected on round one, but actually out in front and in the middle in round one. And that let his opponent be able to focus all of his shooting and magic and everything at the big bad, several 100-point general that he had taken. And it meant that he got deleted at the very beginning of the game, turn one. And so that meant that not only did he feel like he was going to lose, he actually conceded the game after round one and said, I'm not gonna play anymore. And this is a reality. Like, Warhammer can be punishing, right? This is a true fact. You can just go on Reddit and search tabled round two, or why do I lose so bad at Warhammer, or things like that. You'll find people who play Warhammer and they don't like the fact that they can lose the entire game in the first round. It's just a reality. It's a possibility that you can lose the game, or at least be set up to lose, I guess I should say, fairly early on in the game. Like if you don't hide your units correctly, or if you don't position them in the right spot. And I would like to say something, that games where you can lose in the first round, they aren't really fun. It can happen though, and it's a reality. And the question is, what do you do? Okay, so this is my top tricks on what to do when you're gonna lose real bad. Here's the truth. I love playing war games like One Page Rules, Grimdark Future, Age of Fantasy, stuff like that. I have a lot of fun playing these games. What I don't do is win a ton. I actually lose a lot, and I'm still having a good time. I'm just not always winning. It's fine because I enjoy all aspects of the hobby, the painting, the modeling, the getting together and hanging out with friends, and the playing the game, which is just one part of it. The army building too, let's not forget. So there's a lot of parts to the hobby that I enjoy, and I don't have to win the game in order to be having a good time. But maybe that's not your experience. You can go on Reddit and find stories of people who are saying, hey, I keep getting tabled on round two, this isn't fun, what can I do? Or the other side, I actually saw some stories of people saying, I keep wiping out my opponents before we even get to turn 3 or 4. What am I doing where this game is over before it's over, right? Warhammer is supposed to be 6 turns. What if it's over in turn 2? That doesn't really sound any fun. And so here's the deal. As someone who loses a lot of Warhammer or One Page Rules or what have you, I want to give you some tips on what you can do if you find yourself in the position of losing games a lot, and how you can be a better loser, right? The first is try some fun new tricks. All right, put yourself in the example that I gave earlier. You are playing a game and you have your one unit, right? Whether it's a unit or your main hero or the big monster. Your army is kind of built around this one person or this one thing. And it goes out and absolutely gets obliterated in the first round or even the second round. Well, what do you do at that point? Well, try something new. Okay, so your other units were supposed to be, helping and supporting the one big. Maybe they've got some other things they could do, some other tricks, maybe. Try to experiment with who you have on the board. You might find out that like a unit who you didn't think was going to do all that much can still hang around and have a good time, or maybe even be able to pull off one of a trick of their own. And maybe that unit will end up being more used in a future list that you have. Or maybe you're trying to say, hey, I would normally not play this way. Maybe you just begin playing like super risky when you would normally hold back. Try to have a lot of fun with it. Try something fun and new. If you know you're going to lose and the strategy that you had at the beginning isn't going to work anymore, put in a new strategy. Do something different. You can also help your opponent have a good time. I have two meanings when I say this. Number one, nobody likes a sore loser. It's not fun. I don't want to play against someone who gets really upset when they lose, and I don't want to victory dance and party when I'm winning and be kind of a jerk to the person who I'm playing. I want to make sure they're having a good time. But if you're on the losing end as the opponent, you still want to make sure the other person is having a good time. And so you can say things like, hey, no, don't feel bad. It's a dice game. You rolled really well. I positioned my person wrong. Hey, maybe we could try this out over here. Or no, you're doing a really good job with this. Or even start just having a good time with your friend and your models and pushing them around and talking and having a great time. Make sure your opponent is having fun, because the other end of that is your opponent probably doesn't want to wipe you off the board. Now, I know there are some people who enjoy that, I guess, but more than likely they wanted to play the entirety of the game with you, and having the big bad go out in the very first round, that's probably not any fun for them either. So put up a good fight and do your best, stick around, and make sure your opponent is having a good time. Because if your opponent's having a good time, more than likely when you're playing Warhammer, you are going to be having a good time as well. You could also go to patreon.com/acceptablyepic and support me on Patreon. I don't know if that's going to help you win or lose games, but it's a thing that you could do, and it would be fun for us, for you and for me, because we could have a lot of fun being Patreon buddies. All right, the next thing that you can do is concede. Maybe it's not fun, but if you are playing and you know that, hey, I'm going to get tabled, I see the board right here, I saw what you just did, that's kind of my whole strategy, I concede this game, can we try a rematch right now? Maybe you've got all the terrain all set up, your army is here, you're at the friendly local gaming store, or you're at your buddy's house. Maybe you can just hang out and try to play another game. There's nothing wrong with saying hey, we're going to play one game, but maybe we're going to play 1 1/4. This time I'm going to try not to get tabled so much, and say, hey, can we restart and play again? Your opponent might be willing to do that. They might say, no, I'm good. But if you don't feel like you're going to have a lot of fun, and you kind of feel like your day's been ruined because the Warhammer table didn't work out the way that you wanted it to, or the Age of Fantasy one-page rules army didn't quite perform like you had hoped it would, maybe you could just concede and try again another day. Because that's the great thing about this hobby. You don't have to just play one game. You can play multiple games and learn from your mistakes and learn from how the game went. Maybe not take that unit next time, or maybe spend points this way over here. All that to say is there are lots of different ways that you can have fun while doing this great wargaming hobby that we all enjoy, and it doesn't necessarily have to be obliterating your opponent in the first round of the game, or on the other hand, being a real sore loser when you don't win. Hey, do me a favor. If you've got a better idea of how you can play a war game and be a good loser, put it down in the comments. I'd really love to hear from you. If you feel like some of my ideas aren't great and you want to fight me on it, fight me down in the comments. That's fine. I'd appreciate that. And if you have enjoyed this and you like this channel, do me a favor, like and subscribe, please. We'd greatly appreciate it. I hope you're having a great day, and the next game that you play, whether you win or lose, I hope you're having a great time out there. We'll see you next week.